All right. Hey, everyone. We're live, coming to you from the shed. Um, this will be my first, hopefully, of many live videos that I put out. Um, Thanks for joining me here on my Substack. Um, Today we're gonna do something a little different. Start the new year out right. I was fortunate enough to be able to go in for my biannual medical checkup. Everything seems fine. I'll go back. My old doctor moved to Chicago. I guess there were more sick people in Chicago than in Pittsburgh. So I had to get a new doctor. Turns out my new doctor is the daughter of my old doctor. Was a patient for 40 years. He was a great man, and he never really prescribed too many things and kind of was light-handed, not necessarily a drug dealer. And I'm really happy to say that his daughter has picked up the reins and she's quite nice. And I'll be going back in June for another checkup with blood tests probably in May. But yeah, everything's fine, feeling good. It's all great. So we're going to do a whiskey tasting. She said, "How many drinks do you have a month?" And I am now I only have 2 drinks a month unless it's a very social month, then I'll have a little bit more. But, thing I wanna talk about, and I don't know if I mentioned it in my post, but I wanna talk about a little bit about orange money and the oligarchs. Now, this is the way it goes. Any American dollar from any year can be redeemed at a bank, can be used in Congress. Um, the greenback has always been the greenback. Now, a lot of countries, and I don't know if you know this, but a lot of countries will forewarn the population that they're going to change the design of their money. And the difference is they no longer will honor the old currency. So they'll say, 4 years out, the pound will look different and we will no longer accept the old pounds. So bring all your old money into the bank. We'll happily exchange it, but there's a drop dead date on the old money. Now, we don't do that in America. We honor our currency forever and ever. And why is that? Have you ever wondered why that is? Other countries feel it's important to clean the money. We don't clean the money. Why is that? Because America is a crime-riddled nation, and a lot of crime takes place with cash. Now, a lot of people dole out cash for pizza. They don't pay their taxes. There's no real data on how much money is in the system. Lots of money ends up in bunkers in the military and stacks of cash, green cash. That money, that $100 Benjamin will always be worth $100 and it never changes. Now, if the United States would simply change the color of their money to orange, let's say, I'm a big fan of orange. Let's make it orange. So all of a sudden, the federal government says in 2030, the green American dollars will no longer be of value. You have until January 1st, 2030 to turn in all of your green dollars at the bank to receive orange dollars in exchange for your green dollars, which will be worthless. And the government won't do this because what happens is when people bring forward their dollars, now, ordinary, average American, honest citizen, might have tops, couple grand laying around the house. So they bring it in, swap it out. They're happy. Everybody's happy. They got their orange money. But, syndicated criminals, if they go to the bank and then let's say they bring in 100 grand in green money, all of a sudden they have to explain where that money came from. And here's this person who doesn't work on paper, basically a mobster, has 100 grand that is going to be worthless at midnight on January 1st. Well, you know what? They don't want to end that. They don't want to end crime in America. This would be the fastest way to clean up crime is to do away with green colored money and replace it with orange money. Simple. It wouldn't stop people from paying cash and, maybe, dodging the tax man on pizzas or whatever, but it certainly would wipe out high crime and drug dealers and, people who ran syndicated mobs that turn over hundreds of thousands of dollars, weapons dealers who drop, you know, millions in cash in bunkers dropping from, you know, airplanes in the middle of the desert. I mean, the crime on the dollar itself is just pathetic because all dollars are always honored and that never changes. You could take a dollar in from 1922 and the bank will take it and you can use it to buy bread. You can buy soup with it, no matter where it came from. So that's kind of my rant on orange money. Now, how naive I am because now things that kind of seems like a dream because now, thanks to the oligarchy and the broligarchs out of San Jose, we are in a world where there's a thing called cryptocurrency. And, it is notorious on the Silk Road website where drug dealing and currency is exchanged left and right in Bitcoin and different coins. And the Trump family has their own Bitcoin, and everybody's running these coins, which basically are based on how much internet is used. And there's really no way to cleanse that currency. So the little dream of changing money to orange has disappeared into Bitcoin. So I guess, crime will rule the day and the oligarchs will have their way with the ordinary citizen. I don't know what to say about all that. It's really sad, drives me crazy. That's my little rant on the oligarchs. Now, yeah, I am a certified whiskey ambassador. I don't drink much anymore, and whiskey, the crowd. I'll tell you a little story. I promise it's not going to get out of hand, but yes, it will. I did a whiskey tasting for a bunch of landmen. You know, landmen, the guys. There's a television series. What a landman really does is, if you've watched the series, the son of Billy Bob Thornton's character is actually a landman, and he's going out and buying land, and he's going to sell it because he has a way of talking to the landowners and the farmers. Well, I did a whiskey tasting for a landman here in Pennsylvania, in Greene County, which is former coal country, now tons and tons of frack gas laying down there. Well, the frack companies would go to these coal miners who used their coal money to buy giant farms. And they owned the mineral rights and they owned the farms. And they were retired gentlemen, coal miner farmers, just great. And the fracking companies would go to these coal miners and say, well, I'd like to give you $1 million for your farm and we'll give you a small percentage to take from the frack gas, right? Well, the savvy coal miner, ex-coal miner, basically said, get the fuck off my property. I would be wearing a suit, speaking plain English, obviously educated, ready to sell stock in his frack company that was all about owning land, and they bum rushed in, and the coal miners wouldn't part with it there, just like the farmers in Texas in the series won't part with their land. Well, the landman in Greene County, he spoke their language, and he walked in, and every coal miner adored him. He walked in with a six-pack of beer, sat down on the front porch, and talked them into parting with their land for pennies on the dollar. Well, the landman himself did quite well. So, yeah, I did a whiskey tasting for these landmen. And you know what? As much money as the landman had, and he surrounded himself with probably 25 minions who were just sycophantic kiss asses. Nice people. There were three that were actually interested in Scotch whiskey. The rest could care less. I think they were bourbon drinkers and alcoholics, but it was a nice experience for me to see how these uh, exploiters would work. But anyway, so that takes us up to the whiskey tasting, which hopefully you'll enjoy and I'll enjoy. And my doctor will find out that this will be the only whiskey tasting. Right now, I have the only whiskey tasting this week, and I'm doing it live, so hopefully you enjoy it. But it's always been fun for me to do it for the right crowd. I mean, there are these people out there, who can afford me to go out and do a whiskey tasting, and they don't complain and grouse about, let's put it this way: they're not hardcore Trumpers. They're well-off people who appreciate a good Scotch whiskey. So, anyway. Um, what I'm going to taste here is the one bottle that I took to the landman's tasting. I took a number of bottles and, they just gulped it. They could care less about the details and the nosing and all that stuff. So this is from a distillery called Capone. It's an Isla distillery. And what I'm going to taste is a whiskey, a expression they call Loch Goran. This one here is from 2018, and it's one of 15,000 bottles. That's not a lot of bottles. A little bit about Loch Goran is that it's a farm distillery, and it's the only Isla distillery that is farm to glass. It's barley to bottle, and yeah, they do everything on site, and it's the only one. Now, a little bit of secret or a little bit of background on um, the Scotch whiskey industry. A lot of people, they don't grow their own barley, and the barley is shipped and dried in big dryers in Glasgow, and then shipped back to the distillery and distilled into Scotch, and that's fine. It's mass produced, and there are a lot of multinational corporations who have their paws all over the whiskey industry, but there are still independent distillers who have a long history of making whiskey. Families still in there with Springbank, and Bono Hobbin's doing really well, and of course Kilcolman is on Isla. So anyway, um, let's start with, let's do the tasting right now. And I will start with a nosing. I have these Glencairn whiskey glasses. This one happens to have my likeness on it, which was a really nice gift for me. I don't know how you like your Scotch. I don't really have a particular way of drinking it. If I'm doing a tasting for the first time, what I'll want is, oh man, that smells so good. Um, what I'll do is I will taste it without any ice, but in general, I'm one of those kind of people that likes to sip, likes to take my time. And I will, if I'm socially drinking scotch, I'll drink I will put a small ice cube in it, maybe a couple drops of water just to open it up a little bit. Um, you know, one of my favorite drinks, if you're busy and you're working on a hot summer day, is an ice cold Bud Light or a Budweiser beer. I mean, it's pure. It has no flavor. It's and especially ice cold. It's just an amazing beer, and I guess it's why it's called the king of beer. Now, I found a perfect substitute for that. And that is a tumbler about this big with 2 shots of Scotch whiskey and filled to the brim with soda water. No lemon, no lime. This is just as refreshing as a Bud Light after a hard day mowing the lawn or being on the golf course. But anyway, so let's nose this. Man, I mentioned how nice it smelled earlier, and this is really great. Mm. Oh, wow. There's honey and cloves. Oh, wow. And the dominant essence I'm getting is coffee, which is interesting. And it's a very sweet smell. Now, this is done in an Oloroso cask. So it's going to be a little bit sweeter, but Kilpullman is one of the few non-peated, one of the few distilleries that will make an offering that's non-peated. This is slightly peated. Let's have a taste. Hmm. Slanja. Hmm. Mm. Mm. Oh, man. Makes me want to have more than 2 drinks a month. Damn, that's good. Um, so you work around your mouth a little bit. Open your mouth up and breathe through. Breathe some oxygen in on it, and you'll really get the flavors coming out. Um, I what am I getting on the palate? Mm, I'm getting some honey and the figs, very sweet. Some coffee. Mm. And this is the beauty of this. And I love peated whiskey. I love smoky flavors, but this is just, it has this slight finish of smoke. So sweet, but yet smoky. It reminds me of, an a slightly more elegant Springbank 10, if you will. Springbank 10 as an everyday whiskey is fine. It's wonderful whiskey. It's like one of my go-tos. But this is a step up. Oh, only 15,000 bottles left. What the? Now I'm shit out of luck, but that's okay. Maybe somebody online has one and wants to send it to me or whatever. Then you can get this limited edition. They release a new one every year, this Lockcore. So, it's there. But anyway, oh, I'm going to have another one just to check the finish on this. Mm, mm. Starts out so sweet. No burn. And the ABV on this is 46% ABV. This is great. Limited edition. Burnished gold color. They're saying orange peel, which I missed. Yep. Spicy richness and heat. That's what they say. The finish is just so earthy. When you know that there's only a handful of people involved in the process of anything, whether it's whiskey or food or whatever, they're working to make a living and it's quality stuff. So it's really, really nice. It's limited edition, quality through and through. I don't know. I don't even rate these things. So, I'd say for what you're getting for the price, which I believe is the newer ones are going for $77 a bottle. For the price, it's an outstanding whiskey. Um, One of the things is that's different. This is 2018. Now, the latest rendition I haven't had, but that will taste different. And why is that, you may ask? Is because the wood is different, the weather is different. When the barley is grown, the weather is different. Everything's different climate wise. So there's this terroir that is only associated with wine for most people, but it also applies to single malt whiskey. And so what the weather does, if you're on the coast or you're in the east or you're in the center of the country, makes a world of difference in every single year that it's bottled. And the distillers can get close, but there's always a difference. And there's little subtleties that go into it. But this is another thing. This is non-chill filtered for those who, and what that means is there's a process that they do to kind of make things even more exact year to year. They chill filter the whiskey, and it kind of takes away some of the viscosity, doesn't really take away the flavor. Chill filtered is a multinational way of making lots and lots of whiskey. Smaller distillers will chill filter. Also, I do like the viscosity in my mouth. It's heavier, whatever whiskey you're drinking. So anyway, I'm really sorry that I went on forever about that whiskey. But yeah, orange money, the proligarchs, man, we've got to stand up out there, folks. You got to stand up. You got to do your thing. Whatever it is, start a blog, do something in protest um, against the train on the tracks that's coming our way. And it's called serfdom. It's already pretty feudal for Americans. I mean, climbing up that ladder is not easy. And, any kind of handout that's given out by the government has been destroyed. Our beautiful national parks have been ruined. We got a lot of work to do. We got to get it all back. We got some good things in this country. Every single thing that you think is possibly wrong with this country, there are a lot of good things with this country. And, my belief is, and I know this for a fact, the future is undefeated. It has never lost, and it will continue to win as long as the people are willing to cheer it on. If you have a chance to do something for the future, definitely step into it. Okay, well, that's my fun first January 2nd live video. Hopefully it went out. I don't even know. I'm just looking at the camera and talking away. So yeah, let's hope that I'm broadcasting live somewhere. Hopefully, I don't know. I don't know. My internet connection here is so weak too, which really kind of stinks. But let's see here. Oh, am I live still? Let's look. I can check. Am I live? Oh. Says I am. Great. Awesome. In the middle of the station. Now I can see myself. I have a monitor. Probably keeps going in and out. But anyway, I had 2 viewers, it looks like. That's great. So, hey, thanks everybody for joining me. And until next time, it's been real and it's been fun. So let's cue up